Please welcome on stage Mr. Max Beaumont, founder of Giaura.
I'm Max. I'm a physicist, and I have three passions in life: the environment, space exploration, and building a successful business. Today, I want to tell you about how we're bringing space technology down to Earth, and how we're turning carbon dioxide from a dangerous waste stream into a resource with massive potential. It all began 4 years ago when I came to Holland to work for the European Space Agency. There I worked on a project that keeps astronauts alive. In space, astronauts have to survive, and space is an extremely dangerous place. Just breathing in space can be dangerous, because when they're in the spacecraft cabin and they're exhaling CO2, it can build up and it could suffocate them. And this is exactly what happened during Apollo 13, for example. They didn't die, but they almost did. So at ESA, we were working on a novel manner in which to filter the carbon dioxide that the astronauts were breathing out outside from the spacecraft cabin. And this project had been developed over 15 years. It's due to launch actually only in 2015, with a total budget cost of 70 million euros. While we were working on this project, we thought, well, if it's good enough for the spacecraft, it's good enough for Earth. What if we could apply exactly the same CO2 filter technology to the air? Because besides, too much CO2 in the atmosphere is causing us all sorts of problems. Floods, hurricanes, and other disasters, costing us currently over €1 billion a day to clean up. It's 2010. We applied to the European Space Agency to fund us, to see if we could actually do this and apply the CO2 filter to the air. And actually, they did fund us, and they gave us 50,000 euros. And over the next 2 years, we tested our machine, and it worked. And now we even have a patent on it. So Giaura can effectively filter carbon dioxide from the air all around us. And we even have a prototype that's doing it right now as we speak. Now, how are we going to make lots of money from this? There are numerous applications for CO2 technology, and ours in particular. They range from industrial greenhouses all the way to scuba diving. We've identified 3 market phases in which we will enter the market. The first phase is to launch a consumer product in, wait for it, the aquarium sector. The second phase is to expand the business into other markets. And the third and final phase, close to Giaura's heart, is to turn carbon dioxide into a massive resource that it can be, i.e. fuel. We already have a product for the first phase. It's just outside. You may think there's quite a big disconnect, right, between space technology and aquariums. It's the perfect launching platform to establish our technology in the near term. And it's the ideal starting point from where we can grow our business. In fact, it's also a huge hobby. It's the second largest hobby in America. And there's a large, homogeneous consumer base waiting for us. So we built the product, and we looked into, could this actually be useful for the aquarium sector? And what we found is that CO2 is extremely beneficial for this sector as well. They inject the CO2 into their water, believe it or not, because just like the trees outside, the plants in their aquariums need CO2 to grow. And it's also, at the same time, very good for the ecosystem of the water. The problem is that these small CO2 systems are difficult, costly, and time-consuming to set up. At Giaura, we make CO2 easy. We are plug-and-play CO2. And I'm really happy to see that the market response has been amazing. All the major aquarium players around the world want to talk to us. And we're not allowed to tell you their name just yet, but it also includes the world's largest, where we were last week discussing our first licensing agreement. And we were happy to see that on Friday, they sent us a shining confirmation that they want to work with us. The second phase is to expand into other markets. Like I said, there are numerous applications. We've identified one particularly interesting one. CO2 is dangerous in space, but it's also dangerous on Earth. It causes lack of concentration and nausea, especially in crowded rooms like this one, but also schools, offices, and other small spaces. So what if we could apply our CO2 extraction technology that was used to keep the astronauts safe to benefit human health inside buildings here on Earth? That's why we're talking to an air conditioning company about partnering with them. Just to give you an idea of the potential scale of this market, by 2018, it's expected that 178 billion euros worth of air conditioning units will be sold around the world. 50% of the world's population now live in cities, and they also suffer from high levels of CO2 due to growing pollution levels. This is why we're talking to Honeywell and Philips at the moment. Now, the final phase, what we really want to do at Giaura, and which is really our vision, turning CO2 into a clean energy source. There are many clean tech companies actually doing this already. I'm sure you've heard of algae and bioreactors. They can use CO2 to produce biofuel. And also, there are other, now, synthetic techniques that are converting CO2 into fuel. What if we could partner with one of these companies and harness the carbon dioxide in the air all around us and turn that into fuel? In a sense, that would mean a clean, zero-emission fuel source for this planet. And we're already talking to the National Institute of Science in Holland, NWO, about jointly applying for an European Union R&D program. And by the way, if we can do this, not only would the economic benefit be worth trillions of dollars, but it would have lasting impact on our planet. There's no planet B, right? Okay, so how will this actually work? How will we implement this process? After a lot of feedback over the last 3 months, especially from my friends at Startupbootcamp, we've made a large pivot, and we will license our technology. So our CO2 technology can be used in the products and services of our partners, much like Intel does with their computer chips. We will do this for 2 reasons. Because it allows us to concentrate on our core competency of developing novel CO2 solutions, but it also allows us to scale quickly across the different market sectors, some of which I've just outlined. And by the way, hence the rocket. Now let me tell you about the team that's making this all happen. As we're licensing a technology, it's important to have somebody with a business and technical background. This is where Alex comes in, who has a degree in business and engineering, and also worked at ESA monitoring the cost and quality of space projects. we will have to sell our technology to our partners. Who better to have on board than Badia LA, who has experience selling sustainable construction projects all around the world in a company he co-founded. And finally, it's important to have someone with a deep understanding of the technology and someone who has what it takes to build a business. And that's me. We're also supported by a group of extremely talented individuals that we're very proud to have on board with us. Building a business is nothing without branding and positioning, right? So that's why we asked Martijn Arts to invest his time in us. Martijn is a co-founder of a large advertising agency in Amsterdam. We will need someone to look after our books and help us talk to future VCs. Who better than Richard Hu, who has experience establishing venture capital financing for a number of Silicon Valley startups. And finally, we're a high-level technical project. Who better than Steph, who works on high-level technical projects at Google. We've already raised 130,000 euros, including investment from ESA, a cleantech accelerator, and Startupbootcamp. We're now looking for an additional 400,000 euros in order to establish business and first revenue in the aquarium sector and to expand into the other markets. We're not the first to bring space technology down to Earth. I'm sure you've heard of these ones. Velcro, Teflon, GPS, all space technologies. We will do exactly the same thing with our CO2 technology. At Giaura, we are passionate about our vision to turn carbon dioxide from a waste stream into a resource with massive potential. And we will do this by establishing our CO2 technology into everyday life. And we would love to talk to you about joining us on this journey. Thank you.